Hello everybody and welcome back to the Superlite Coupe build. It's January in New Jersey and it's a little too cold to do a lot of work in the garage. So we're going to do a product walk around here. But where we left off, the rear compartment, I've laid out everything and I know where everything's going to go. And I bought a couple items, so I figured it would be semi-interesting to look at what I purchased. Okay, so stay tuned. All right, so what we're looking at are some aluminum tanks that I'm going to use for various purposes on the car. The smaller one, this is a 1 liter tank, and this is a 2 liter tank. The company is called Racetronix. They're out of Canada. They sell directly, and it seems like they manufacture parts for other companies. But I will tell you, they have a pretty neat setup, very different than other expansion and recovery tanks that are on the market. Originally, I purchased a Moroso tank, a round Moroso tank, to put up on the firewall, and it looked really cool. But the bung was sort of in the way of one of the chassis down bars. So I started looking again, and another builder had one of these tanks, and I took a closer look at them, and they're really pretty neat, and there really are no reviews for these tanks on the internet, so I figured I would do one. So let's take a look at the 1 liter tank. Basically what's really nice about these, they have a sight glass built in. A lot of tanks really do not, and if they do have it, it sort of hangs off the side. And then on both sides you have 4 AN orb fittings. This particular tank has a pair of 6 and a pair of 8. Then on the bottom we have a 10 orb fitting, which is perfect for a 5/8 inch heater hose. Let's see, the caps come with a sintered vent, so that's pretty neat. And you can replace the sintered vent with the plug, so you can have it a sealed tank if you want. And then they have sort of a unique attachment for a radiator cap. So this is all anodized aluminum, and they basically have this mechanism here that has 16 indents, so you literally can clock the radiator cap at different locations, which makes it really handy. So what's nice about these tanks, you can plumb them different ways. So you're gonna, in the next segue, I'm gonna plumb these tanks up, but this will be the expansion tank, and we'll hang a couple 4AN hose fittings off the side, 5/8 inch fitting on the bottom, and then this will be a recovery tank, so we'll do a 1/4 inch AN fitting on the bottom, and then have a 1/4 inch AN fitting out the side in case it overflows. And then I bought another one of these tanks for the intercooler tank, so that's pretty neat. I'll have a temp sensor, I'll have the inlet up top, and I'll have the return on the bottom. And these bungs are big enough for a 5/8 inch heater hose, so they really are pretty neat and pretty versatile. So we'll segue over to the tanks, and they'll have their fittings attached. All right, well, we got all the tanks configured here. We got all 3 tanks configured as an expansion tank, a recovery tank, and an intercooler tank. So basically the expansion tank, I picked up these nice fittings from Radium. These orb banjo fittings. So one will be for the steam vent on the engine, the other one will be for the steam vent coming off the radiator, and then this will be fed by the heater hose assembly. And then if it hits pressure, it'll release some fluid out the top into the bottom of the recovery tank. And then if the recovery tank fills all the way up, it'll be expelled out the top. I'll run a hose out the back of the car. It shouldn't get to that point, but if the car does overheat, that's what's going to happen. Let's see, this is a pressure cap, 16 psi. This is a vented cap. So it's pretty neat. You can just sort of configure these in whatever orientation you want. And then lastly, we have the intercooler tank. The intercooler tank I have set up at 13 psi, even though I shouldn't need to hit that, but that's sort of a safety valve for an intercooler assembly. And then I've got a stubby little fitting here because I want to put the intercooler pump right underneath it. And then I feed the intercooler tank with this fitting here. And then lastly, I've got an NPT, orb to NPT fitting for a temp sensor. Okay, so, it's all pretty cool. I'll sort of move these together. But I sort of like that, they look like they match. They all have these sight glasses, which is really nice. You can service the rubber gasket on the sight glass, so that's nice. And what can I say? They make a nice product. All right, so I think I'll call it a wrap. Next up, I'll actually just start making some brackets for these things and get them on the car. Okay, well, take care. Bye.